Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Singularity podcast, only single player's official podcast, the single player topics. I'm your host, J. Scott Brown, but I'm not alone, of course. I'm joined by Alexis, Samari, Josh Atkinson. What is up, guys?
Hey, Jay, how's it going?
I'm good, man. Welcome back, Josh. What's up?
Hello.
There we go.
I'm here.
We're not
I
dead.
made it.
You made it!
I made it.
Welcome to the show,
We
guys.
invited you this
Employment has
time.
been taken
Let's be
back.
honest, we invited Josh this time. He wasn't invited
you
last
were
time.
all like talking, and I was this like creepy little head just hovering outside the window, just like.
You're like the one kid in class that didn't get invited to the kid's birthday
Yeah,
party.
exactly.
Oh,
Just
man.
You showed up at the
Steaming down my
last minute
face.
to stare through. You showed up at the last minute to just stare through the window, longingly.
No, stop.
Long
It's
as
getting
just
too
stroking
real.
it.
It's getting too real, Alexis. I can't handle this. Oh, boy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. Our topics for today are going to cover the idea of cinematic storytelling and its place in the current zeitgeist of games that are coming out.
Ooh,
And
word of the day.
thank
calendar.
you.
I
I
don't think I'm gonna be able to keep up with this dictionary.
I
that's
do
coming
I
out.
do like my zeitgeist. And from there, we're going to have another discussion about indie versus the AAA market, what kind of is going on there in terms of quality, since we do cover a lot of single-player games and in indie, both indie and AAA. We don't discriminate. I don't think we do anyway. we try not to.
We're all inclusive.
Just rapidly installing AAA games and uninstalling them until they cry, without showing low.
Precisely. But let's talk about our first topic, guys. It's going to be cinematic storytelling, and I guess this kind of came up due to the fact that Until Dawn PlayStation exclusives coming out on the 25th of August for North America, so work that out for wherever else you are in the world. And I thought it was interesting just because of the idea that this idea that the point-and-click type game has evolved so much to the point of where it is like the Telltale style of things, and Until Dawn very much seems like a reimagining of what the Heavy Rain style was with David Cage's games, and I think it's a really interesting topic of discussion just because the way those games do storytelling is definitely very unique, especially when you look at games like The Last of Us, which is so critically acclaimed and everyone loves it, and that's so cinematic in the way it does story in comparison to something like The Witcher 3 that came out recently, that where most of the story and the lore seems to be focused in like more about embedding it in the world, if that makes sense. So I kind of just wanted to ask you guys, like, what kind of style really appeases to you guys, and like what's your whole opinion on the idea of what Until Dawn and Heavy Rain, those types of games are?
Well, I mean, when the one kind of issue that I've always had with these types of games is that they're always fixed on a very set path, even though developers always promote that it's your kind of story and that it's however you decide it's going to go is how it's going to go. But in the end, they always go that one path, that one potential conclusion. And it's one of those things, because like it'd be great if one day they make it. And this is the thing, maybe Until Dawn does this, but where you get to an actual point. It's kind of like with The Witcher 2. The Witcher 2 kind of did this as well, where you can kind of branch off into a completely different part of the game, and you will miss like a completely different area, completely different chapter. But then something that Heavy Rain failed on was that it always went the exact same place. If one character died, the other characters would still continue onwards. They would end up going to like a warehouse or something at the end. But it's always the same place. And even things like Borderlands with is it called Tales of the Borderlands? Yeah, Tales of Borderlands. All of those, they all go the specific direction, and it seems that way with Until Dawn as well. But I so worry and wish that maybe a developer will just jump out of that comfort zone a little bit and think, you know what, we're not scared to. It's kind of like making another game in itself in a way, I guess, because you are kind of splitting it. You're putting a fork in the road without that little middle bit, and maybe Until Dawn will do that, because there are so many characters, and supposedly they can all die at any second, which is really scary and creepy. So now I'm just stressed thinking about it.
That's the best part. You know what I mean? Like, sorry, Alexis, real quick, I just want to jump in because I so totally agree. Like, oh my God, I don't even know how I could express how much I agree with what you just said, Josh. Like, that's the biggest problem with what Telltale are doing. Like, it's not that what they do isn't great. It's just that the novelty of it has worn off so significantly since The Walking Dead Season 1, where I can't even play... Like, Game of Thrones is like my favorite TV show. I think it's the best show on television. I can't even get through the Telltale series that they're doing because it's just so, like... this illusion, this facade, smoke and mirrors of choice consequence is so old, and I can see through it so clearly with such vividness. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like it's also isn't the Telltale one's a prequel as well, so you
yeah,
already know
yeah.
where it's going.
Yeah, exactly.
There's
Yeah.
no kind of you can't change.
Yeah.
How it
Oh,
ends, which is
totally. Yeah, yeah.
ridiculous.
Sorry, Alexis, what are you
Marty
saying?
McFly. No, I was gonna say from the very little of what I know about Until Dawn, and again, I told you guys this before. It's really not my cup of tea. It looks scary. I'm not into scary games, horror games, but from the little bit of what I saw, it's going to be like a different experience every time you play through it. Because I think what they're doing with the game is what exactly you're wanting. You know, a different, like, really where whatever you choose is going to affect the ending very heavily, rather than just like
Yep.
than just having you know, 5 different endings, you know,
Kind of
with
just
like the
preset.
core of it being
Yeah.
the same, but like, you know, you go off with someone different in the end.
Sure,
It's
yeah.
going to be a very different experience, and I think maybe it's because it's a scary game and it's like a horror genre. Maybe that's why they're making it like that. Whereas with a lot of like Beyond, was Beyond, like Two Souls,
Souls, yeah.
wasn't it? Yeah, it had like um the core was pretty much like always the same, but it had like what 20 something different endings based on whatever whatever like you did.
Yeah, yeah.
It just didn't make any sense. I hate games that do that. They just like you had said, where it doesn't matter what you choose, you're really going to pretty much end up with the same kind of ending anyway.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing that I constantly worry about. And again, what I just mentioned at the start, I don't know if you ever read the books for Goosebumps. Do you remember those books? Like, it was like a kids'
Yes.
horror thing, but
Back in the
but
day.
the thing was that it got to certain
Yes.
points where and the funny thing is, Until Dawn is exactly like what those books were, but in video game form, where your character got to a certain point and they would say you could either go left or right, and then that character would die, and that was it.
Yeah.
But again,
But your hand
there's
was
so
still
much.
on the page, so it didn't count.
Yeah. But it's one of those things of just seeing it, how far they're going to adapt. And if you're saying that it does have this potential to not just be where the character walks off into the sunset, but then they just replace the character model of another companion, like they've done with other games,
Yeah.
then that
Yeah.
sounds amazing. You know, I am all for that.
Dude, I don't know. Did any of you guys play through the Mass Effect series?
Oh yeah, and this is
Yeah.
actually something I was thinking about this when Alexis was talking
Yeah.
about it, because that was all just conclusion. There was no like branch.
Yeah,
throughout
yeah.
any of
I
that.
mean, very specifically, and a lot of people would be very quick to. Full disclosure, Mass Effect's my favorite series like ever, and the thing is, that gives me kind of a nice platform to pick it the fuck apart, because there's so much wrong with it, but I love it anyway. I love it so dearly. But a lot of people will be very quick to point to the third one, and be like, "Oh, this ruined it, and that was the worst thing ever." But you kind of ignore the fact that, especially in the first game, you have the two kind of protagonists, pretty much your side characters throughout the whole game, Caden and Ashley. And at the end of that game, I mean, spoilers for a 6-year-old game or whatever.
What?
But
Spoil it.
but basically,
He's, hugging his Krogan doll, just really like,
oh no, yeah, no,
Rex
basically,
dies.
one of them, you have to choose between one of them at the end. One of them definitely dies, and that's great. That's such an awesome moment, and it's so impactful. But the problem is, literally throughout the rest of the series, throughout the whole of 2 and whole of 3, they play whoever stays alive is the exact same character.
Exact same.
So that it doesn't matter that they have different backstories, or that the one's a different gender to the other. They could just completely mesh into the same character no matter what. And that's a really interesting concept, because it's like it definitely does minimize the effect of what's happening, certainly to a lesser extent than I think a Telltale game, because the problem that I think Telltale runs into, and not even just Telltale, like just all these choice consequence games, the problem that they tend to run into is that the entire integrity of the games is built on that impactful choice consequence. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas with Mass Effect,
Yeah.
it's like it's part of the experience. It's not completely inclusive to everything. It's not completely built up on this kind of sandcastle that just gets crushed when it doesn't work. If that makes sense.
You're also talking about like games rather than like a series. You know, it's easier for a series to kind of track where you left off.
Yeah.
Whereas like when you're making a whole new game, you can't really track what everyone's picked before. With the like Telltale,
Yep.
like with like Walking Dead and stuff like that, they track what you've picked before, and
Wasn't that
that
the
makes
issue with Mass
for
Effect 2? Because there was that whole thing where they said if your shepherd died, then originally their concept was that you would then continue Mass Effect 3 as somebody else, but then they completely scrapped it. So it was kind of like that whole idea that if Shepard failed, it didn't continue.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like you did just waste the entirety
But
of
that
those
but that would
20
be
hours.
great.
not allowed to
Oh,
buy the game.
that'd be so great.
Yeah, they just lock you up.
Yeah.
I actually adore the idea of a game being like, no, you fucked up. Like, we're gonna punish you. I really get.
Really?
Yeah, it's
You
awesome.
buy this game and you make one mistake and they're like, nope,
Yeah,
you
because-
fucked it
but-
up. You paid us your money. Now you can't play it anymore. Congratulations.
No, but it's like
Go read a book.
go
buy the
go to
attached
your
DLC.
room.
Yeah, go buy the DLC. You'll get another life.
No, I mean, like, I'm talking about more to, like, I play games for the real experience of it, and so I don't need a game to glorify me, to be like, I'm the best. Like, I mean, there are games that do that, and they do it quite well. Certainly any type of shooter that makes you a super soldier and stuff like that. But it's the idea that, like, I'm okay with my sense of purpose in the world. I mean, I think The Witcher 3 does it best, honestly. Get like the whole, even just the Witcher series in general, but Witcher 3 is just most recent in my mind. But the way Geralt's treated in that world, he's like, truly, if you fuck up on a quest, you just lose the quest. That's it. I mean, like, and I love that. That's like such a nice way of doing things because it makes you so much more immersed and it gives you that sense of purpose where it's like, I need to do this right. I can't just rely on the fact that I'm playing a game and it's going to be a game. You know what I mean?
It's funny you actually mention that because, to be honest, I played The Witcher 3 on PC originally. I put 30 hours into it, and then I went and got it for the PS4. And I've ended up putting another 30 hours into it. And as you were just mentioning there about how if you mess up, but the funny thing as well is that the choices in that game, good or bad, are so black and white. And so like there's that spoilers. There was that one character, you go into some kind of herbalist hut, and there's like a woman who's like I think she's been stabbed or injured or something, and she's dying. And then Geralt has the choice of letting her die in peace or using one of his Witcher potions to heal her.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, well, obviously, if I give her the Witcher potion, she's going to survive that and, she'll make it out of that. But then later on, I ended up going up to somewhere completely different. I think her dad shows up and ends up saying, oh, no, her husband, sorry. And says, like, no, she's, like, deformed and she's got, like, amnesia and she doesn't even remember me anymore. It's like she's just this complete shell. It's like,
and
what?
do you know the amazing part about that as well? If you don't, like, I my first playthrough, I did a similar thing, but I did the opposite. I started playing on PS4, then got a copy for PC. I don't know why. I guess we're just crazy, but
just so good.
it's just so good. I need to relive it.
You just want to relive it.
But in my first playthrough, I just I remember I didn't have the ingredients for Swallow yet, so I got to that point and I'm like, oh, okay, cool, I'll just come back later, because it's really easy to just kind of remember that it's a game. It's a game and it has mechanics. Yep. It has coding, so it works at like some sort of level in a way that your mind perceives it to work. And so it was really interesting for me. I'll be like, oh, I'll get back to that later, whatever. I came back like after a few more quests and I talked to the herbalist that was taking care of her, and I'm like, what happened to the chick? She's gone. And she's like, yeah, she died. You didn't treat her or anything. She's dead. And then Geralt's like, yeah, I made a decision not to give her the potion. I'm like, did I? What?
Live with that on your conscience.
Yeah, exactly, man. And I love that. I think that's so great. And honestly, that's why
I think it's so great that it makes me feel so bad about myself.
That's good.
In the gameplay,
Jay's just there in game,
makes
just
me
like,
feel like such an
awesome.
asshole. I love it.
I'm actually
I love playing God.
Yeah, I'm actually just a masochist. I'm sorry. I can't help myself. But honestly, like I mean, Heavy Rain as well.
On both PC and PS4.
Sorry?
I said you're a masochist on both PC.
Oh no, yeah, exactly. I don't
Like,
discriminate
on purpose.
But
the second time you just stood there and watched, you just waited.
You just
Oh,
watched
God.
it happen.
this is getting too real. I don't know. But yeah, did you guys play
Jay's gotta
Heavy
go.
Rain? Did you guys play Heavy Rain on the PS3?
I played it through once. It's one of those games. It's kind of like, even though I love The Last of Us, even it's one of those things where I could only play it through once. It was one of those one-time
Yeah.
experiences. I could never go back and try it again because it is one of those things where once you've seen your own conclusion to that game, that's kind of it,
Yeah.
or at least it was for me. I don't know if it was like that for anyone else.
Yeah, totally. I think it's very similar. Like, and just like the way the Heavy Rain does it is interesting because it does. I think it does a better job, certainly. And the thing is, that was kind of before this rise of the Telltale style. I think maybe it came out even before Walking Dead. So that was like before this whole way of designing a point and click type choice consequence game was kind of really set in stone. And then like Life is Strange and obviously all these other games have followed. So it's interesting that like I actually really like Heavy Rain. I think it was really great. Beyond Two Souls, I actually didn't think was as good, just because again of the way it was kind of. It had a really nice story to it, and I think I connected with it to a certain degree. But again, it's just this idea that you can't put choice consequence like that you can't put that phrase on the box like it really means something, and then kind of fail to deliver that to a really good degree. You know what I mean? And I feel like with Until Dawn, that's what I'm looking for. That's what I really want to see out of that game. Like, if a character dies and I'm talking with my buddy who kept that character alive, we should have some different stuff going on. Like, there should be a real nice comparison that we can draw from our playthroughs. Not just, oh, he died, so they still did the exact same thing because he meant nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, there was one thing that I saw on there. I don't know if this is like a prologue to the game or not. I know this has been going around with a lot of previews. Is that you play as initially, I think, two sisters, and they're kind of escaping this weird clown man, whatever he is, and it kind of goes with that whole thing of if you can like change for your decisions the story and such, and if it can continue onwards. Is that from what I saw, there's a bit where I don't know if this is a spoiler or maybe it is a spoiler, but it kind of goes the same way no matter how you choose the option.
Yeah.
So they kind of get put in this situation. I'm trying my best here not to say what happens.
Well, let's be fair. If you had the option to turn around and leave, I would. I mean, and that would change the whole gameplay experience. I'd be like, congratulations, you survived.
That's called taking the disc out of the tray.
Yeah.
That's called the eject
but
button.
It was like because it was one of these like a prologue moment. It was kind of like, even though you have these two options of how it potentially may go a different way, they end up going the same way but in a different animation. And so it's kind of like tricking you in a way.
Yeah.
Like thinking, oh, maybe if I did this, then maybe they would either survive or maybe like somehow adept like onto like godlike powers and kill the demon clown man, which they don't. I'm just saying right now there are no godlike powers to kill the clown man, but it's a bit of a shame. And so it kind of, that one little preview that I've seen, because again they have been really hiding this game, they've shown little bits because obviously they don't want to spoil it because every single turn is going to be something different.
Oh yeah.
But from that little bit I was kind of worried because I was thinking, could that happen with other parts? Like, say you could die for every single choice that you made. So like you're put in a situation, it says go left or go right. Will you die if you go left or right, but just in a different way?
Well, that's
I don't like knowing that that's the inevitable choice.
That's an interesting point. I would hope. I think that's a really interesting idea if they do it properly. Like the idea of, oh, I'm rolling a dice to go the right way or the wrong way. Oh, I went the wrong way, I'm dead. That's actually that's probably the wrong way of doing it, because it does feel like you're not being properly kind of rewarded for your agency. But I feel like you can still do that, especially with the way they do QuickTime events where you have to mash buttons and press X's and all that. I don't know if you guys played too many Telltale games, but The Wolf Among Us was, I think, like probably the one that I like kind of definitely noticed it, where there was some like, there's a lot of fight scenes in that, and because fight scenes are obviously going to be really hard when you're just mashing X.
Specifically the ending as well, where he turned. I mean, I only played the first episode, but there was I think it's where he has that final confrontation with that woman at the end. I don't know if this is spoiled territory again.
It should be fine.
You have that immense fight, don't you, right at the end? I only seen it. I haven't played it.
Oh, you're talking
about
episode
on your feet.
4 with the bloody Mary or whatever?
Yeah. And so he's gone like full werewolf supposedly, and it's one of those things where she's like completely bombarding him with attacks. And I don't know have you played the entire thing?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, so like, is there a different outcome?
No, yeah, well, that's what I was going to say. Like, it's so funny because you can actually just not play those, and it's fine. Like, you can just watch them. You don't have to, when it comes up with the left trigger, right trigger, like, you just don't have to press anything. It's fine. The fight scene will still culminate in the exact same way. The only thing that might happen is you get, like, the animation of him beating you over the head with something because you fucked up. So instead of doing that, which is, like, again, it's just, like, completely disconnecting, in Until Dawn, it'd be really interesting if like, you know, when you're playing Hayden Christensen and you don't, you know, maybe you're in a room and you don't notice some stuff, or you fail to deduce stuff, and then you suddenly get into like a fight scene and then you don't hit your buttons correctly, then you die. That, I would like that. I think that'd be really cool. I don't like the idea of just, as you said, you know, do I go up the staircase into the attic or down to the basement? I don't know. I guess I chose basement. The spikes, I die. Like, that would be really lame.
Yeah. And then going upstairs and there are still spikes.
Yeah.
And you die anyway.
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah, that's actually that's slowly reminding me more of the Choose Your Own Adventure books, where you just turn to, like, you literally just pick the wrong page. It's like, yeah, you're dead. Start over. Do it. And you're like, I'll just pretend I never see that. That's fine.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, what about you? What has everyone been playing that kind of relates to these kind of cinematic things? I mean, obviously, Jay, you play a lot of them, it seems. Yeah. So what was the last? Was it a Telltale game that was the last one that you played? That was one of these branching path games.
Yeah, honestly, man, it's got to be Life is Strange. I'm really digging it. Like, I'm like halfway through episode 3. And 4 just went up, and I've only waited this long to play it because I'm just the most impatient person in the world, and I could not have started from 1 and played through all 5 just because I pretty much wait. The way I handle these things now, it's like, wait till the first 4 are out. I can do that and wait for the 5th, but I can't wait like 3 months in between, especially with Telltale, because they're so all over the place with their schedule.
It's funny, really, that you bring up the Life is Strange, because I've been watching or listening on another podcast, and the funny thing is I've never played any of these, and I've literally been experiencing this game through these two people discussing it.
Nice.
And to be honest, I am blown away from what they've been saying about how open it is, and all these little things that you can do that can affect the future.
Yeah.
So, like, there was like a thing where this entire podcast is just spoiler riffing.
Spoilers all over.
Just call it spoiler alert.
Yeah, spoiler. But you got your main girl, and then you've got the one with the blue hair. What's her name? Whatever she's called.
Chloe.
Punk chick. And and basically there is supposedly a defining point where something happens, and then her life just gets completely turned upside down to what would have, like, the girl must have made like a decision originally, and then in a way it's got like a good aspect to it, but at the same time it's really bad. You must know what I'm talking about. Jay. So, like, she doesn't become this blue-haired girl anymore. She becomes someone completely different, which is just like, and nobody knew, you know, they were completely surprised that it was going to go off into this different direction. But then if you continue onwards through the other path, it keeps going that way, which is great. You know, that's what you want. Paths. That is what we wanted.
Exactly, man. It's so nice that the thing is, for all the shit I'm giving Telltale, actually I love them. It's just that I feel like they've just gotten they've got so much on their plate, and it's very easy to get complacent in what you're delivering. So it's really nice.
Playing very comfort zoney as well. So it's like every single game they've made so far has been very along the same lines.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's so nice that Life is Strange exists as a nice little competitor to some extent. You know, that like there's another company doing this style now. It's really nice. But Life is Strange is great. I'm really digging it. I think I'm almost caught up to date, so I'll be ready for episode 5. But I played all the new Telltale games. I finished season 2 of The Walking Dead, Wolf Among Us. I haven't finished Game of Thrones. I'm not up to date.
Did you cry at
Walking Dead?
The end of The Walking Dead?
Walking Dead season 2 was actually phenomenal, and I feel like that's their...
Which ending did you pick?
Yeah, see, I was going to bring it to that because I wasn't sure if you guys had played it, but I haven't
played any. I played the Borderlands ones, but I haven't played
them. Well, we won't spoil, but just the endings in The Walking Dead season 2 are so incredibly different. Like, they are ridiculously different, to the point of where I don't know how they're going to handle the season 3.
I thought they did an incredible job, because the end of the first season really could have only gone one way. Yeah, obviously, like kind of what we were talking about, where it doesn't matter what you do, it's going to end one way. Yeah. But the end of the second one, oh my God, I was in tears. I was in tears both times, but once more than the other. It was, awful.
Oh,
It was
good.
so
Remind me
sad.
to ask what any you got after the show because I really want to know now. But but they're so different. They're so like I honestly don't know. The thing is I don't actually have enough faith in Telltale right now to the point where I'm like they can handle it because just of what they've done with their other series. But
they're pros at it now.
yeah, I would honestly think that they'd probably start season 3 on a point where everything would nicely just kind of blend together. I guess that's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know otherwise.
Yeah, because it is so, like you said, it was so different. The endings, so it's going to be interesting to see where they pick it up.
Yeah.
Where they start.
And yeah.
Supposedly, don't you play as you play as a little girl in the second one, don't you? And it's all about her becoming
Clementine.
Clementine, that's it. And isn't a lot of the episodes about her kind of becoming this like leader? Because I saw like gameplay where she's actually kind of, as mentioned, leading groups of adults in like a compound or something, so that's quite surprising. So is it one of those things where those choices can actually help define that kind of new part of her in a way? To that conclusion, is that how it works?
I think regardless, she was going to develop into a character where, I mean, obviously you're in the zombie apocalypse. You can't really be a kid anymore. But in terms of like, yeah, again, I don't want to spoil it for you because I know you haven't played it before. You haven't seen it. But it's more of like the people who are around her that change. And whatever you choose is affecting them more than it's affecting you as Clementine. It's just like a movie.
It's just like a movie.
Bawled like a baby.
Oh,
it
sure,
was so
yeah.
awesome.
No, it was pretty intense. It's funny that you bring it up though. Like that, I feel like that was a big talking point for a lot of people with season 2, where it's like, this girl's like 11 years old, and she's telling all these.
She's actually 11.
She's. I mean, maybe that might not be accurate, but like,
No,
she's young. She's definitely
Yeah.
younger than like 14.
Yeah, but in the zombie apocalypse, you're not like.
I know, but it's just the way that literally like there'll be a conflict, and it'd always be like, so what do you think, Clementine? Decide, please. And it's like,
Yeah. And she's like, I think we should all just get along.
yeah. And then the game's like, you can't just be neutral. Pick a side. It's like, okay,
And then Clementine walks in on people having sex, and she's like, "What's going on here?"
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And then zombies get in, and you're like, "You're having sex in the middle of a zombie apocalypse?"
Oh my goodness.
You guys.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know how we got pretty diverted there. Until Dawn.
Hey, that's cinematic. That's cinematic.
No, true. We'll still, that's still loosely connected.
Ditto fingers storytelling.
Yeah. But no, man, I actually am pretty psyched for Until Dawn, just because I actually, I mean, a lot of people criticize that sort of style and I guess associate it with the kind of walking simulator type deal sometimes, so they're like, it's just not my thing because it's not as I guess mechanically engaging, and that's totally accurate. I think it's a totally valid criticism. But I feel like these games, when they're done well, as I said, you can actually do choice consequence in a way that is really strong and impactful. And the thing I love about it the most is that games are the only platform you can do that really well. Anyway, you know, you can't. You don't have that involvement in a movie or a book. Like you don't play movies, do you? You don't.
Well, and also in other video games that literally just have cutscenes, you don't have that option either, and you're forced to sit. I mean, you can skip it obviously, but you're forced to, if you want to follow along the story, just to sit there and watch this movie portion.
That's actually a good point, and I will use that to expand the discussion a bit now, because I want to know what your guys' opinions on, because I have pretty strong opinions on it in general, so I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about, like, what do you think about when a game, actually military shooters are pretty much the ones that do this the most, but when the new Call of Duty comes out and you play through that campaign and it's so heavily focused on cinematics to the point of where the gameplay seems to just be like a little bridge from cinematic A to cinematic B.
Yeah. Right.
How much does that really impact your experience with the game? Do you think, like, is that a big deal for you guys? Is that a deal breaker?
It kind of depends, really, because have you played the original Black Ops games?
Yes, yeah.
Yes. So you know that, like, with Black Ops 2 and such, that it does actually have branching story paths.
Yeah, Black Ops 2 did a little bit, yeah.
And with Black Ops 3, it's supposed to even go further than that, which is supposed to be, again, with this whole thing of that, it's supposed to go to a completely different area of the game depending on where you go. And so it's actually really surprising because a lot of people in the past, with say with Modern Warfare and such, used to complain, say, these games are way too linear and we don't like it. It's just that kind of shoehorned story that you don't care about, then you play the multiplayer. But now it's weird that everyone now is kind of looking forward to these Call of Duty games because they are taking these aspects of things like The Witcher with these branching story paths, or say even like Heavy Rain and such, but incorporating it into a first-person shooter. So now I didn't used to even care about Call of Duty, but now I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's a massive evolution for that kind of genre of game. That's fantastic. I don't know what everyone else thinks about that.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Like that's how you iterate, It's I think that's been the biggest burden of the Call of Duty series, and luckily we have Treyarch around who seem to constantly want to make that game better. But I always dread when it's Infinity Ward's turn because it's just like they just don't do anything different, and it's just like I don't know what to think. I think Sledgehammer killed it with Advanced Warfare as well, but again, yeah, the campaign was like super linear. I mean, cinematics were fucking beautiful. Don't get me wrong.
I don't mind a linear game. I don't mind a linear cutscene.
Yeah.
But that's only when I'm invested in like the story of it, and if it's like a really good, really fun game, when you're playing it, then I don't mind sitting there and watching a cinematic where it's just like watching a movie, and it's gonna come out the same way each time, but that obviously depends on the replayability of the game too. I mean, if you're that kind of person who wants to be able to play a game over and over with different endings each time, then that's what you like, and you're not going to be, going towards the really focused linear storyline games.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that.
Yeah,
do I like
it's funny, really,
Yes.
because has no one noticed that there's this giant elephant in the room when we're talking, kind of we're panning around this one title that has probably been brought up in the past, made by Sony Santa Monica, that just came out. I think it was like this year, called Order 1886.
Oh boy.
And so how Alexis was talking about like been this movie, but but also enjoying the story and such. Like, I know a lot of people hated that game because of what it was and such, but I am one of the few people that you'll find that actually loved it.
Ooh.
And your jaw might be dropping here,
No,
so I
yeah,
don't know. I
I'm
don't
really
know if you guys want to maybe
intrigued.
say your opinion first, and then I'll jump in.
No,
and,
go
you know,
go for it. I want to hear it.
Yeah, no, go
well,
for
because
it.
that's the funny thing, because a lot of people hated the fact that it was potentially kind of just like a prologue, and it was more that I loved the potential of where the story could go. Like, okay, a lot of it was just sat there watching it and stuff, but I just love that world. I love steampunk. I love the whole thing with, vampires and werewolves being mixed into it. And to be honest, the gameplay when it was there was really good. Like, you don't really get those immersive third-person shooters, like maybe apart from, say, Uncharted or something, but the Order did it really well when it gave you that control. So like there was a lot of people bring up, say, like the airship section. It's funny actually, because there are only specific sections you can talk about because a lot of it is a movie. And so, but when those bits are happening, so much is going on in that world, when in those action scenes as well, like where bullets hit things and they bounce off and react to something else. And those designers put all that time into making those like set pieces like really have oomph. And that's something I just really loved. And it's where that could go now. Now that they've learned from that, it's got so much potential. And I think that's why I liked it. Even though some people can say, oh, well, it was only 5 hours long and it was a little bit of a movie. At the same time, I kind of like that. I like that. Maybe the price point was a little bit odd, but I loved
That's what I was gonna jump in, because without really disagreeing that strongly with anything you've just said, I think the game was actually totally fine. I mean, and I feel like it did, unfortunately, become this kind of internet meme where everyone just jumps on it, and of course it just becomes this big bandwagon of, oh, we hate this now, okay, I guess everyone hates this. I think anyone online that was advocating that the Order was literally one of the worst PlayStation exclusives, you're just out of your mind. You're like, you're not living in the same.
I mean, it wasn't Lair, for God's
sake. You're just not living in reality. Like, the Order was actually an okay game, and it had some really nice redeeming qualities. The problem was that it had a $60 price tag on an experience that clearly was not worthy of $60, and that's more of a comment on the current space of AAA games, where publishers feel compelled to put on a $60 price tag. Otherwise, people will look at it and be like, "Oh, it's not $60. Well, clearly, it's going to be like it's not good. Then it's not worth it."
And it's probably the issue between communication between the developer and the publisher as well, where the developer they know what it is, it's their baby, they know what kind of product that they're trying to give out there, but a publisher is basically going, well, it's a AAA game because we're supporting it, it's going on our console, so we need to. It's by default has to be, say, $60.
Yep.
And developers probably don't even agree with that. It's probably with going off in a completely different direction, but like a game like Evolve, which was, people disagreed with that because of how much low content. Again, that was kind of like in the free-to-play area, and the developer probably believed in that, but it was the publisher again. The publisher is the main thing that always kind of affects this. And it's kind of saddening that can then affect the community and the player base that tries these games out and then judges it based on that price tag, because if that wasn't there, and the developer maybe got the choice of that, then maybe things would be different. Like, what would be the value, you say, for the order? I mean, you're going to be talking American dollars though. Like, I'm in pounds, so it's going to be a little bit different.
Well, I'm in Australian dollars, so I would say maybe 300. That seems relatively fair for our price point. No, sorry. That was a shout out to my Australian brethren who are always overcharged for this shit because.
Oh yeah, I remember when I visited my family, and I think I bought my brother Army of Two, and for like his birthday, and the price tag was ridiculous, and the game had been out for already like 6 months, and you're still paying full.
Probably about 120 or something.
Which is just daft. Yeah. It's like, what's going on over there?
Yeah, I have a vivid memory of picking up Halo Reach after pre-ordering it for $130 to get the collector's edition. It's just like, oh my god! Wow. And the collector's edition was just a case. Like it wasn't even like it wasn't even that extravagant.
It's one of those things though, like. In British pounds, the order right now is at £25, which is kind of like half the price.
Oh, I would just say that sounds totally fine. In Australia, I would say even I could maybe even like in the state that we're in, I could maybe even accept pretty reasonably if the retail copy was the standard price and the digital copy took a $20 slash. I could even maybe say that's okay for now, considering the fact that when The Walking Dead gets put on a store shelf, it gets jacked up the price, and like when you could just buy it online for way cheaper. So I could even understand that just because of the retail market. It's just different. It's just a different ballpark than the online digital space where you're getting it directly from publishers and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think in the end it was just, a lot of it is just miscommunication. So like you are seeing, because Telltale games now are going out on disc, right? I think I've seen them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they are quite low budget priced as well. So I think they're about £25. So the publisher obviously recognizes what kind of game that is, and they're able to price it at that. And so I think in the end it was just a thing of Sony Santa Monica and Sony just, not understanding, or communicating, should I say, what this game was and what it should have literally been priced at. Because now that price has not changed at all. It is always £25 now. So they must have gone, oh, this is what we should have actually put it at. And, you don't hear anyone complaining about it now because, that is the price that people are buying it. So that's good. So now in the future, now that they've got that potential with that game, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they could do, because there is so much you could do with that story, with that world, with those characters, and they left it on such a cliffhanger that I cannot wait. I am dribbling for the next bit. Take that, haters!
Drop the mic.
Drop the mic. I'm out of here. Bye.
Podcast over. Bye.
I mean, like the orders. It's so funny you bring it up because it is actually probably the best example I could think of in recent memory. And to your point, Alexis, that you're making with the whole idea of just cinematics being totally fine, it's just like a movie. I totally agree with that, but I don't know, the games that really like connect with me that I will think about maybe on a monthly basis again and again, just because they're just so ingrained in like what I consider to be like the best experiences that we have. Gaming to me is always about a platform of active involvement. So it's really, I don't know, I can still play a Call of Duty campaign and a Halo campaign and get into it, and like the cinematics are certainly there. But with the way I kind of think about it is, if I can go on YouTube and YouTube Call of Duty Advanced Warfare the movie, and I just get a 6-hour strung together cutscene of everything, and I can just consume the story the exact same way, which you can, because the as we're saying,
it's just a bridge. Yeah, the gameplay is just a bridge.
Yeah, excluding Black Ops, that for the most part, Call of Duty, the gameplay just serves as this weird, like, soldiers are just cannon fodder for you to just grind to get to the next cutscene to be like spoon fed your next little bit of story. And I just feel like that's really just you're not really recognizing the power of what the medium that you're kind of developing for. When I play something like The Witcher 3 or even Mass Effect, and there's so much lore and story kind of entrenched and embedded in the world, that's where I feel like I'm getting my full like just desserts, because then I'm like I'm like, not only is that information being given to me, I'm like actively trying to find it. Like, I'm going through all the encyclopedias and I'm reading notes and even audio logs to an extent to like kind of deliver that.
Well, and that's why a lot of those games like Call of Duty, like Halo, all the ones that are just cinematics, that's why they're not winning Game of the Year.
Yeah, from not too many.
That's why they're not making me cry at the end of it, because I had to hold a gun and shoot someone. That, you know what I mean? Like that kind of thing.
There's a lot of crying going on between everybody, it seems, when they're playing these games.
Well, you need to shut up. Go and play The Walking Dead, and then come back and let's see if you have dry eyes. All right?
Next podcast, I may pause the game just at the conclusion, and then while you're talking, you'll just hear my reaction.
Yeah, it's get a live feed.
Just hear slight blubbering.
Yeah. No. Then you have to like go away for 2 days and just kind of like lay in your bed and contemplate your life. It's the worst. But yeah, that's why I think a lot of them aren't winning Game of the Year. And games like Mass Effect, I mean, I don't think that won Game of the Year, but like The Walking Dead got Game of the Year, I think, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it did.
And Batman back in the day, even though it wasn't really like a choicey kind of a game, it still had like a lot of it didn't really have many cutscenes like Arkham City. It
didn't at all,
Game of the
really.
Year too. But it was still kind of an immersive. It had a linear storyline, but it had like an immersive type of gameplay. Where like you could get your ass kicked and lose a fight, but then you'd just go and try again. But yeah, it wasn't just a bridge to get to the next cutscene every time.
Yeah, no, exactly, and I feel like that's kind of the point. Like, and that's why I think that these kind of the Telltale style games, and Heavy Rain and stuff like that, they fit this nice little niche where it's in between. It is essentially just cinematics that you're pressing buttons in, but you are still kind of respecting the player agency and respecting the gaming medium by doing this choice consequence thing. And that's why I do think that these types of games are a lot more relevant than a lot of people give them credit for. They just kind of blow them off and they're like, well, there's no mechanics, so I'm just too superior for that. But it's like, well, no, because it's still such a great experience. It's such a great game there still. And that's why I feel, I mean, again, like I remember,
but does it also speak to how well they do, where the story that you're playing in these like point and click games, it's really like they're always so dark and they're always so like intense.
Yeah.
Does that have anything to do with it? Because I feel like that does. If you took more of like a cookie cutter, everything's going to be fine in the end, kind of like no matter what you choose, point and click game. Like if you did Halo, the point and click game, would that be great?
It'd be some deep shit, man. I don't know. No, I think that's definitely a reasonable point. The subject matter is going to be a big deal there as well. I don't know if any of you have played Spec Ops: The Line in terms of like a military.
I played a little bit of it. I know that supposedly there were a few choices in there that are eye-opening.
Yeah.
And it's one of those really good things, though, that through that game, and a lot of them, we're noticing now that a lot of them are very like that. This type of game is catching on so much. Like all these games we've been bringing up, they are now one of the main games everywhere, which is just weird. So with The Witcher, with say Until Dawn, with all these Telltale games, this is now developers are now realizing that this is what people want, and that's fantastic. So what do you say? Sorry.
I was saying, yeah, it's their moneymaker now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's great, and so we are getting now the evolution where developers are staying into that comfort zone. So with those Call of Duty games, it's not really like that anymore. Developers are now giving themselves a chance to take these titles in a different direction, and again, that's what we want to see. We want to see because it was one of those things where a lot of people were saying about how the industry was dying because we were getting just the, copy and paste, copy and paste. But now, again, it's all down to the developer, and developers noticed that the player base, the community, the fans, all these people want these types of stuff, and it's an evolution, and it's bringing back the industry, that we loved. And I don't know, what do you guys think of that? I mean,
No,
I think that's brilliant.
That's certainly relevant. Like, especially considering that, I mean, I can't remember. It was one of the EA people in recent memory, but that basically said, like, for every FIFA that we release, that creates the ability to make, Unraveled or whatever. It's like you need.
Oh, they're just trying to get you to buy it.
Yeah,
so that you get all those other games.
Exactly. So
that's a marketing.
So
tactic.
in some sense, you kind of need a process to at least. For every Call of Duty that Activision releases, they can maybe make something a little bit more that actually is more respectful of the gaming medium, and more, I shouldn't say respectful because it does imply maybe that there's a bit of a disingenuous thing there, but more to the point of creating a game that's really trying to be a really good video game, as opposed to this a Hollywood movie thing that's like kind of like a shoot.
It's also that thing of you also need that champion as well. So like with, say, Unraveled and such, we probably wouldn't have had that game unless Journey had happened.
Exactly.
Like once Journey appeared, everyone wanted those types of games.
Yeah.
And then they started making them. But then that's also that thing of they were letting developers make what they wanted to, instead of going, oh well, we need this shooter again and then again next year. And so they are giving people those opportunities to make those things, and we are getting these better games. And so it is really, I'm really looking forward to seeing what those kind of things are. I mean, we Unraveled, it's one of those things, I've only seen a little bit of it, and I don't know if you could explain how close it is to that kind of niche, that kind of puts it in that kind of same genre.
Yep.
Is it like Journey? Is it one of these kind of like it's not indie, but
yeah. I know, indie's not really a genre. It's hard to. The thing is, it's like I actually the stuff I've seen more reminds me of Ori and the Blind Forest, which just came out on Xbox One quite recently. It reminded me more of that kind of a side scroller adventure type thing. Whereas Journey, I don't think we're ever going to get something as specific as Journey, because that was just so unique. I don't think anything will really kind of get. Especially since it's such a big thing in that game that is such a big deal if you don't know about it. The whole, like, I mean, I can't spoil it, obviously, but, like, need to be careful. But yeah, no, I think you're totally right. Like, and the thing is, it's important to kind of recognize, for all that we can do here, sitting on a podcast, kind of complaining, Journey was a risk. It's a risk to do these things and to branch out and to try something new. But obviously, it's going to pay off. Obviously, Journey was so important, and as when it came out, the remastered version, that's got another shot in the arm for that game, which is incredible. But for every Journey, it's maybe. We shouldn't maybe frown too much about, it's the 47th Assassin's Creed, okay, because Ubisoft do a lot of actually really nice kind of niche games like Child of Light, Valiant Hearts. There's so many just kind of
Rayman, even just bringing back Rayman, in a completely different way was another great one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where do we go for this again? Okay, I think we were talking about the cinematic thing again, and I guess the point I wanted to make clear from like my perspective is that it's really about like I guess honestly the best example I can use is Witcher 3, just because it's the most recent, and like honestly that's probably the best game I've played in a long time, just in terms of creating an RPG that is an RPG. Like, you're playing a character in this world where everything matters, every choice you do, every conversation, everything has some significance, because everything has so much depth to it, and it's so important. And I love the Witcher series for that, and it's like, it's just there's so much care and love so clearly kind of developed into it from CD Projekt Red, but they did such a superb job with that game, and I feel like that's what really makes it for me, especially with open world games. Like, you need that depth, otherwise it doesn't really resonate.
Well, that's the thing, because we ended up getting, with this whole champion thing, The Witcher 3 became that champion to be that kind of game. And so once that was announced, we saw things like Dragon Age Inquisition, which went completely off, off what it usually was, have been this linear thing, and becoming an open world game where you do get these cycles, maybe not to the depth of, say, The Witcher 3, where they were just amazing. But we're going to see that even more now with when they're saying with Mass Effect Andromeda, and they're again they're wanting to. They've seen what The Witcher 3 can do. They've seen what these developers can do, and now they want a piece of that, and that's what we're going to get.
Okay, so I guess where we landed with that was that you can do a game that focuses on cinematic storytelling. But ultimately, it still needs to have like the kind of depth there that you need in a game that does kind of reward active involvement and stuff like that. I guess, is that a nice synopsis?
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds good.
All right, sick. No, that was I need to get a cigarette or something. That was a
all that deepness.
Yeah, that was very deep. We went in like 7 different directions, spoiled like 3 games. That's fine.
That's awesome.
Except for The Walking Dead.
We may not get many branching paths in games, but we got a very branching path discussion. So.
The wordplay is beautiful. All right, our next topic we're going to talk about is
I've got this giant basket of microphones. I just keep dropping.
A basket of them.
Oh God, you're just throwing them around.
Just throwing them everywhere.
Jesus.
Go to every game developer's door, knock on the door, and just drop it.
All right, our next topic's going to be talking about indie games in relation to AAA, the current kind of relationship they have in the market. Josh, this was your topic, so why don't you give us a quick introduction and then...
Yeah, so I mean, this is something that I just came to realize when we were covering a lot of the games on Only SP, and we do cover a lot of indie games, a lot of Steam games that are just showing up from Greenlight and such, and even though a lot of people don't even know what these are about, once I started playing them, I ended up noticing that they actually contain, and it goes back to what we were just talking about before, but they contain so much stuff that we've wanted to see in mainstream games, or AAAs, whatever you want to call them, but they're in these smaller contained games made by 2 to 3 guys, and I have some examples, and I don't know if you have actually played, your own kind of examples of these, but say like one of the first games I covered for Only SP was Battle of Sol. Now in that one, it's kind of like a homage to how I say that when I always say homage. But it's like fromage, but homage. But I don't know if you ever played Colony Wars. Did you ever play Colony Wars on PlayStation 1? It was a first-person like space shooter.
No.
But with Battle of Sol, I mean, with that game, it was just linear, everything like that. But in Battle of Sol, you play as not only the good guys, but also the bad guys.
Oh,
which
nice.
kind of just blew my mind. I was like, wait, what? and when I did that first look, I had only played the good guy side of it. But the thing is, the story continues and it changes perspective. And when I saw that bit, you actually get my reaction of going, what? This is amazing. Why don't people know about this? And then with the other game, which I've talked to you about before, which was Blues and Bullets, that was a combination of so many different types of gameplay features that we love put into one game. So you had detective stuff from LA Noire. You then had morality choices which just... Again, just shocked me. But then you also had these like on rails third-person shooter segments, which were again really good, and it was solid. It's kind of one of those why fix something that isn't broken. But with the morality choices in Blues and Bullets, you had this whole thing of every single time you were able to give a response, it was your choice. And you don't get that in a lot of games. So with Mass Effect, Shepard would say things by himself or herself. She would kind of control, how her personality kind of went off, but then you would obviously get your little defining option of moralityness. Yep. But in Blues and Bullets, that Crowd of Monsters, the guys and gals that developed that game, gave you every single chance to mold this character and to go the way you want it to go and to affect those other NPCs that are around you. And I was like, why are people not recognizing this? And that's because they are smaller games. The media isn't actually, taking notice to them. And it's fantastic. It's fantastic. These small developers are now leading a charge, to these types of games that we want. But first, we are getting them a little bit, as we were saying before. Now we're seeing this evolution of AAA games, things like with Black Ops 3 and The Witcher 3. But it's so crazy that there are all these little games out there that we have no idea about that are consisting of these, of these features that we've just wanted so long and that are just so deep and just so inspiring.
Absolutely.
Just shocking.
No, I think...
I don't know if you guys have actually played anything, that resembled that or, just kind of took you aback. They did for me, at least.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I mean, like, I feel like one genre in specifically that AAA does pretty bad in terms of kind of really fleshing it out and making like a big experience out of it is puzzle games. Just kind of in a contemporary sense anyway. Maybe if you go back a few years, it's more of a lucrative market, but it just doesn't exist. And you could even make the same argument, I think, for horror games. If you go back a few years, obviously AAA stepped back in with Evil Within and PT and whatever Silent Hills was going to be. But yeah, but it is interesting to see how that relationship works, because effectively AAA just kind of said, "Oh, okay, horror, we're done with that. Cool, all good." And then people were like, "No, we still like those games," and they were like, "Oh, sorry, we'll make them again." So it's just really interesting. I think that whole relationship, and specifically to talk about like the actual games, like I covered the DLC for the Talos Principle, and that was like, I love the Talos Principle so much because it's like, it truly is just an open world puzzle game about like philosophy, and it's just like, holy shit, this is like so good. If I wasn't so incredibly dumb, I would play it a lot more. But that game is
that's probably why I don't play those games.
It's so hard.
I'll just be sad.
Yeah, it's so incredibly hard. And actually, it was funny because with the original game, of course, I played it with everyone else on day one. So when it got stuck, it's like, oh, walk through, here we go. But I was playing it pre-release, like on a whatever demo copy that we had, and it was like I had multiple moments of, all right, let's get oh damn shit, that's right, I'm like totally
you're on your own.
I'm totally alone in this venture, so that was really interesting as well. But I totally agree, like the indie marketplace, and we should be careful with that word because it can be so misunderstood. I mean, The Witcher 3...
It doesn't even have to be indie. It could just be, you could just say smaller
just
studio.
smaller games, yeah, because I mean, The Witcher 3 is a fucking indie game, so it's like it's a bit weird, the whole definition of it. But yeah, I think just like smaller studios that like obviously aren't AAA. You know, when Rocket League comes out, and it's just...
I was just about to mention
this. It's just this explosion, and it's such a simple concept. It's just cars and soccer, go. And it's just so mechanically refined. The physics are so functional in such a way that creates this amazing experience with your buds. That's like incredible. And the fact that, you know, AAA just hasn't really delivered anything like that for ages, you know, like for a while. Yep. Like that's just such a competitive game. I mean, it just finished up the first tournament and it was like insane. I don't know if you guys caught any of it, but it was really fucking fun.
I played a bit of it, but it was one of those things where, like, throughout my entire life, I have never cared about football. You know, like my dad tried to get me into it. I tried the FIFA games, everything like that. People, you know, they go nuts about it. But then now it's kind of like died off a little bit. But it was so surprising to see a game that was literally just football with little remote control cars or massive cars. I'm not too sure how big that world is. Are they actually drivers in there? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
But having cars play football, everyone just lost their shit, you know? What was that about? And even I did. I fell in love with it as well. It was like, it was something so different, and all it took was just going and adding this little something different, you know, something special, which was obviously cars.
Well, it also has to do with who's running the AAA companies too. You know, you've got so many voices in the background. Everyone who's donating the money wants their idea put into the game, or they want a say in it, where obviously indie developers can kind of like make what they want. They don't have to really answer to anyone. Mm-hmm. And that has been working out for everyone. I mean, I think also because the influx of indie, you know, quote unquote, developers kind of outnumber, you know, AAA companies, you know, what I would recognize now. But
especially now, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, you know, you've got it not only now, like, it's not only like on the PC anymore, like it used to be. Now they're available like on consoles too. And so it's kind of grown this, where not a lot of people recognize game companies anymore. They're just looking for the, you know, most fun, best new game, regardless of who makes it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, that's probably an important distinction to make. Like, I mean, a lot of people out there, I mean, there are certain gamers that are just like, oh, I need my games to be AAA, nothing less, and they still think of, they're still in this, like, weird historical definition of indie where it just means subpar, which is of course, so ridiculous. But yeah, no, I totally agree. And for in terms of, like, just the indie marketplace is just like really, especially on PC, because, you know, it's the only open platform that's really prominent for gaming. It's just it's so vibrant and there's so much going on to the point of where you really almost have to look to them to kind of innovate. And if there's success, then AAA tends to build upon that success and try to make it even better. And I feel like the best example, the best example of the opposite of that, in my opinion, I'd be interested. Josh will talk in the pre-show about Destiny, but me, honestly, man, like that game to me is like the complete kind of, I guess, like epitome of a game that is just so confused in what it is in terms of like a AAA release where it just doesn't really accomplish anything of substance or worthwhile. And it's a shame because we talked about it to whatever nth degree last week, Alexis, about Halo. So you guys know I'm just in love with what Bungie did with Halo, but to see them kind of fall from grace in a certain sense with Destiny, I don't know. It's just like it just wasn't much in terms of like if Destiny's a AAA release. Well, it's like I'm good. I'll stay away from it then. Like I just don't really understand why that game. Like I feel like you could have done that concept so much better with. I mean, the claim is what 200 million was on that game apparently or something ridiculous. But it's like you could have just done that concept a lot better and with a lot less money, with a lot less of a biggest advertising budget ever. It's like I don't know. It's a bit strange.
It's indie games kind of, the punk rock.
The punk rock, yeah.
You don't want to sell out. You don't want to sell out to the man.
Nah, man.
It's kind of one of those things though with like even though this is completely off topic with bringing up Destiny and things, I still think they are confused with what they want to be, and I think that everyone that plays it is also confused with what's going on with that game. Like I personally, I bought it on release. I was excited about what it was because as with Jay, I love Halo to a certain extent. Yeah, and it's one of those things where the initial concept was fantastic. What they showed was great. Everyone was salivating for it, and then when it came out, we were all kind of like, "Wait, what?
Yeah.
This is like pieces of what you were showing."
Yeah.
And it's come to this conclusion now with the new DLC that's coming out called The Taken King, where have they just been making us beta tests for a year?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where is it a crunch game? Is it one of those games where? Yeah, is it where Activision have gone, you need to bring this out now. We need this game, we need to put it out. We put all this money into it. We need some return. And then Bungie have gone, oh no. It's like, we haven't finished it. We haven't done all the story. just put it out there. Just throw it. It's literally like just throwing a football and seeing who's going to catch it. And it ended up being a disaster, but then we've now got this The Taken King, and they're putting in a new, like an actually refined story, new cutscenes, new voice acting, quests from every NPC in the tower, more tower type areas, more raids, more everything, more loot, and also different types of weapons too. So again, all this content you would have expected is now coming out a year later. So it's one of those things where everyone's kind of like, why didn't you release? And it's the funny thing as well is that a lot of that stuff was already in the game. So one thing they're bringing out is an extra ability for your character, for any character you play as you get a new ability. Yeah, and that slot was there from the get-go. It's always been there. It's always been empty. And after a year, it's come back to be filled. And it's one of those things that everyone's kind of like, was that what they were wanting to make, but they never got the time to, and this is now when they're bringing Destiny out for real.
Yeah.
It's really scary, it's really creepy, and again, it's so confusing. I do not know what's going on, but for some reason, I'm excited. And maybe it's because it's Bungie,
I think you're in that.
You had the same feelings that you did a year ago before the game came out.
Yeah,
Let's talk again in a couple months.
Yeah. I think you're in the Destiny workshop, man. They got you going. They got you in the hype machine.
It's one of those things where, because it's Bungie, you want to kind of give them a second chance, And so because they've done so much for us, with their previous creations, so you do want to kind of see what they can do to amend it. So I guess that's kind of the thing.
They have the money to try it again, though, too. And that's kind of what you hit on the nose before.
Definitely.
They were, pressured to release something. So the two guys that were in the lab were like, oh, shit. We gotta stop eating.
We need a game. Damn.
Cheetos and drinking.
You stop eating ramen and just hurry up.
Yeah. They always have to.
Sure, go ahead.
They always have to. I was just gonna kind of circle back. They always have to appease their shareholders, their stockholders, and release something that's gonna make them money.
Yeah, well, it's just interesting with Destiny as well. I think there's some news coming out this is a bit off topic, so forgive me, but there was a bit of news coming
Oh,
out.
no, it's fine. It's good to just go off completely.
There was some news coming out very recently of like Bungie's clearly doing stuff for PC, and I feel like it's going to be the best experiment ever to watch, to see them try and release Destiny on PC.
Are they actually going to bring Destiny out on PC?
I don't know, but I want them to very badly, just because I feel like they are just going to get eviscerated.
Confirmed. It's coming out for PC.
Well, it's one of those things as well of, with a lot of games coming out on different platforms, that connectivity of seeing if that they can meld. I think they did this with PlanetSide, where you could have the PlayStation 4 community playing with the PC community. Yeah. And so is there a chance that maybe they could join those or stitch them together, so they're both in the exact same like server world? That'd be kind of interesting.
You could, yeah, and the thing is that would only ever happen on PC. Like, that's never going to happen cross-console. Microsoft are never going to shake hands.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Yeah,
but the thing is, you'd have to probably get that would probably have to be okayed by Valve, right? Or no, I guess no, that's not true, because you can have your servers on PC external from the actual client. So that's not true. But no, you totally could. I just think in general the PC audience, and not even, and this isn't to say that the PC audience is like has some superiority over exclusively console players. No offense, Alexis.
PC master race.
No, yeah.
I was just
could just sum that up. Could just sum that up with the meme. But I guess like the fact that game's been out for very close to a year now, almost a year. Everyone kind of understands what it is, and especially since it doesn't really work. The gimmick doesn't really play as well on PC because we actually do have MMOs. Like, we have WoW. We actually understand like that there's much more of a diversity in loot games and stuff like that. So I just don't think it's as smooth.
Dictionary for a second there.
What's that? What happened?
With that diversity word, you dropped your dictionary for a second.
Oh yeah, no, yeah, it's just very minor micro stroke, if you will. But yeah, no, I don't know. Do you guys feel similar, or in terms of like if they did release it on PC, is that a big deal?
I think so, yeah. I mean, people are now starting to come around to the game, realizing what it could be, and so again, there is that kind of like hype building back up for it. So, knowing that,
they've got you. They have you, don't they?
They haven't got me. It's just that I'm curious to see what they could do. I'm kind of sat on the sidelines. Like, I got the original game. I didn't buy the DLC. I wasn't fooled by that, And so it's one of those things now where they're bringing out, this is the funny thing, because they will do this if they do bring it on PC, the Ultimate Edition, So it's one of those things where they'll give you the first DLC, the second DLC, and now the new one, which rebuilds the game to what it is. And, again, I'm not like uberly excited. I don't love Destiny. I'm just curious to see how they can get people back. Because all those people that bought that game, I bet not everyone is playing it still.
No, but the thing is, the inexplicable thing to me is that it actually still has a massive community. A lot of people have dropped off, but it still has such a huge player base, like an exorbitant amount for how much content's actually in the game. It's pretty crazy.
No, I completely agree with that. It's one of those. It's gonna have to just wait and see what happens, because we do not know. We do not know what ultimately is going to happen with this game. Even though they're promising these things, is it going to be just another recycle of what happened the first time?
Yeah,
like a few little changes.
Exactly. Yeah.
Or will it be this immense? This is what we promised you, and now you're going to get it, even though you got to pay for it.
Even though we want money. Yeah.
Even though we want more money, so yeah, it's a shame for that bit.
But then that gives them more money to make better games.
Then they can make more DLCs.
Yeah.
It's funny actually as well, because that new DLC is connected to the first one. So the first package DLC. So if you didn't buy that first bit of DLC, you won't even understand what this new rehash is about.
That is if you follow the story at all in the first DLC. I mean, like,
yeah. So like,
you have to finish the raid kind of to get an idea of what's going on.
That's exactly it. You actually have to have found you have to have bought the game, bought the first expansion pack, gone onto that. This is what mind boggles me, that they never put matchmaking into raiding. You have to go onto their forums, find 6 people. Go take down the raid boss, and then you'll understand the story behind the new DLC.
It's so stupid.
This is the story of the first game. Stupid. That's what I mean. This is where it gets confusing, because it's like, why did you do this? What is going on over there? What is the logic?
Yeah. I don't think logic is a.
Who was pitching these ideas?
Yeah.
There's just Bungie with this like Scrooge McDuck kind of vault of money.
Yeah,
just
they just had one dude in the back was like, what if we tied it to something that no one's gonna recognize?
So
I like it.
And then the biggest guy in the room was like, I love it. Let's go for it.
It's $1 million idea, see?
He's like making the game in the
cigar
bag.
in
He's
his
going,
mouth.
we forgot matchmaking. There's just swing going, wait, what? Did anyone hit something? No, just keep going.
Just throw him out the window.
Oh, wow. All right, there you go. That's a nice way to put a bow tie around that one, I guess. But I guess to summarize,
all those people at Bungie are confirmed Scrooge McDuck.
Exactly.
But what's funny, because another thing I wanted to add was with the indie thing that we were talking about before, is that something that is now starting to rise up as well is roguelike games.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that there are a ton. Like, I don't know if you've heard of Darkest Dungeon, which has become really popular on PC.
I'm still waiting for that to come out.
Coming over to PlayStation 4. Are you going to get the PlayStation 4 version, I guess?
Well, no, I just don't like playing early access games. I just really try to avoid it.
Yeah. There is that thing, and we're actually seeing, this is the thing, because with these small studio titles, they are now going on to console. I don't know if you've noticed this, things like Ark. Was it called Ark Evolved?
Yeah, that game is so popular. I've been checking the Steam charts over the past week. It's always in the top 5. I don't know what it is about crafting games that just makes people wet. Like, they just can't. It's ridiculous.
This one is dinosaurs.
It's got dinosaurs in it, bro. And it's got dragons as well, don't forget about that.
That's pretty sick.
But
really?
It's weird that publishers, or at least console manufacturers, are actually going crazy over these types of games as well. And it's one of those things where it's a little bit worrying, because even though I believe that indies are doing a lot more successful concepts and creations than what we're seeing with first-party titles, knowing that we're now seeing this era of unfinished games appearing on platforms and then staying as that, like things like DayZ, which has been around for
it's still
God knows how long.
still coming to PS4. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming.
But then,
someday.
It's coming.
But then when it was saying that with DayZ, you also had the one called H1Z1. Happened exactly the same thing happened.
What is it called now? Survival Stories, the other one.
What was that? Was that
it was
called?
It was originally called
like
the War Z or something.
The War Z.
And they changed to Infestation Survival Stories, I think. Which is pretty great.
And I bet there's no story in it anyway.
No,
so
probably
that was just
not.
a complete bunch of
No, I
bullshit.
totally agree. And it's interesting to see that, Microsoft and Sony will be the first ones to tell you about how they're so great at, rewarding the indie market. And I appreciate what they do to an extent, but let's recognize it for what it is. It's a cheap and really efficient way to get exclusives. And it works quite well for them, especially since for the most part, it seems like, Sony and Microsoft have given up on trying to get console exclusives specifically that aren't developed by first-party studios. For example, when was the last game that came out that wasn't a first-party, that wasn't developed by a first-party studio like Naughty Dog or something that wasn't on PC as well? I'm pretty sure No Man's Sky is going to be on PC at some point. Rise of the Tomb Raider is coming to... Is Rise of the Tomb Raider on PC at launch, or is that timed as well?
That's timed.
Okay, that's timed.
So PS4 and PC. I think PC gets it first,
and then PS4,
like after Xbox, and then PS4.
Exactly.
Gets it,
So it's very it's a really nice way for Xbox to grab Arc what is it called? Arc Evolved. Yeah, to grab that.
Something like that.
And to be like, okay, well, we got this crafting simulator thing, and it's on Xbox. So for our Xbox customers, they get that in addition to all the Xbox titles. I think it's totally fine, but it does kind of make me chuckle a little bit when they're like, we just love indies. Oh, indies, they're our shit, man. It's like, well your marketplace is closed.
They're the lifeblood that's paying for our market.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because if you go to E3 now, half of those conferences is all indie.
Yeah, and
so they have that
awesome
thing where they have each dev stood there with a little controller playing their little game, and then you've got, is it Adam Boyle or something like that from PlayStation, just saying, oh, we've always loved all these indies. It's like, you just sat there like, just don't. I mean, it just shows the games. Don't start kissing ass and stuff like that. They
come out there in their $350 blazer and suit and all that. Yeah, it's pretty great. No,
But it's exciting. It's exciting to see, but that's the thing because you are seeing these developers leaving first-party studios or say third-party and then making their own little thing. And possibly because they wanted to make these different types of games that do have more blossoming concepts, and ideas because maybe they were held back by their publishers and saying, well, we can't give you the money to make this stuff. You got to make the thing that we want you to make. And so it is quite cool that we're seeing, and it also is great for, say, jobs as well, because it means that people to start up something on their own with their friends or with their workmates and such, and then make something big and successful that can be recognized by not just publishers, which has obviously changed the way that now gaming is, because it's like split down the middle. You've got first party, then you've got indie, or whatever you want to call it, small studio, and then you've just got that ability to have that kind of success on two different types of platform for people who are in a company than people who want to do it on their own and give something different that isn't chained down, if that makes any sense. So I like that.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's just relationship that I find really interesting between the small studios and the AAA. Like, for example, before Gone Home, I don't think you get everybody's. Is it everybody's going to the Rapture?
Yeah.
I don't think you get that if Gone Home doesn't blow up. I don't think you ever do Her Story, the AAA release. It just doesn't happen. And that is the indie marketplace, like, the smaller studios are platforms, or at least kind of factories to produce that stuff, and it's good because Her Story was actually really interesting, and regardless of whether you think it's good or not, it's so unique and it does its own thing that's real that no publisher is ever gonna do ever. Like it's just not gonna happen. You show Her Story to a publisher and you're like, can you produce this for me and share it around and put your name on it? I mean, I don't know. I don't see that happening in a world that we live in unless that becomes its own genre, and then it becomes very clear that can actually like make money and stuff like that.
It's basically like Everyone's Gone to Rapture, kind of like what sort of a game that people went nuts about. There was like a horror game where it's like you got chased by like one creature and you had to run away. It's kind of like that, but now it's a environmental experience where you're just looking at the world.
Wait, you thinking of Slender or?
Is it Slender, right? It's that other one.
Yeah.
Something like that. But yeah, so it is. We are seeing these kind of games now becoming a main thing, which is kind of. I mean, I'm not really into them. I don't know if you two are into those types of things. Like, I watched a little bit of Everyone's Gone to the Rapture,
games?
and I was like,
yeah, no.
But it's kind of like, well, PT was kind of like a little bit. I can't remember what that game's called, and you kind of like a lantern, and you just walking around.
Amnesia.
I know, like
Amnesia.
A lot of YouTube. Amnesia.
Oh
that's
yes,
it. And so that is where like we're going off in something different now, but like not really, but like first person horror or like just that kind of environmental experience. Would you class that as what Everyone's Gone to the Rapture is? I mean, what is that?
Yeah, it kind of is. I mean, like
people call it walking simulator, but it's like
I think it's the Chinese room that did it, and I think it is anyway. I can fact check that later, but it's the Chinese room, I think, and they did Amnesia, Machine for Pigs, and also I want to say Dear Esther. And so they have that historical kind of walking simulator type thing going for them. Which, and to answer your question, I do like those games that do environmental storytelling. But you have to do it well, like any other, kind of style. And I don't think they do it particularly well. I've played Dear Esther and I've played Gone Home, and I could write a fucking thesis on why one is clearly better than the other. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like you still need to do that style well. And I'm not sure about Everyone's Gone to the Rapture. I haven't played it, but I think it was received relatively well for the most part. Besides the whole like you have to hold down like the right bumper for like 10 minutes to sprint or something ridiculous.
Oh yeah, I heard about that recently. Isn't it like you got to hold it down for like 10 seconds and you can like walk maybe about 1.5 times faster than what originally you could do.
Yeah, because a lot of reviewers are like, "There's no sprint. What the hell? This is really boring."
And then they had to go back and change it because they worked.
Yeah, they're like, "No. There's sprint. You just got to hold it down for like 7 seconds." Like, okay. Jeez, man. But
it's kind of like with how indie kind of has now taken, like you were saying, like no one really plays horror games anymore. Indies kind of small studios brought like horror back.
Yeah.
I don't know if in a good way. Yeah. So like you got things like
Outlast,
like Five Nights at Freddy's but then that game do you think kind of maybe inspired, say, PT? Like, and then again, you've got like it's because it's a first person kind of wander around game.
Yeah, I think like Outlast certainly and stuff like that were probably
Yeah.
influences. The thing is, PT was such its
Mhm.
own thing as well that like I don't know,
Yeah.
it's like I mean, and also Kojima is just his own sort of madman,
Mhm.
the mad
Yeah.
scientist of kind of video games. So he just does his own thing as well. But like PT was such its own kind of unique little gem that unfortunately it's just been kind of erased from time. Um,
Kind of. It's kind of funny, really, because is recently they brought up that a lot of people are still finding stuff in
yeah,
that.
yeah,
So if you've
yeah,
still got the game on it, it's kind of like it's its own game now. If you've still got it, because there are still many secrets and things in there that we haven't discovered yet. Like if you'd just gone the linear path of doing what the game wanted you to do, then you'd have seen what everyone else has seen. But now we're seeing even more things, and it's quite wondering what else could be in there,
yeah.
if that makes it. So if they just kept that on the store, and then we could all see what it was all about,
Yeah, I
because
saw a
Mhm.
there's more characters and there's more like creatures showing up. So it's like, what is it? Was it a demo now?
yeah,
It's like it seems like
yeah. It's like
it's
a,
actually its
it's
own
like its
game.
own thing now. I saw something really heartwarming as well. Someone actually is remaking the whole thing in like Unity, which is pretty great.
Oh, I
Yeah.
saw that, yeah, and it's actually quite close to it as well from what I've seen. I think the engine's just like a little bit
Yeah,
low down,
yeah,
but
yeah. Graphics are a bit
yeah.
weird, but besides that, I think they're trying to do it like exactly the same, which is actually awesome. If they can even
I
get the
guess I guess
trailer
on
in
the
there as
end of
well.
this, I mean, what is everyone's kind of recent favorite indie game that would say kind of made you go, ooh, this is like a little bit better than a like a Call of Duty or a Witcher that I bought recently.
Yeah.
Something like a little bit small. I mean, has anyone played anything? Like mine personally was Galaxy, which I've said countless times to everyone about. It was amazing. It was fun. It was a top-down kind of, what would you say, like remaster of Asteroids, but inspired by old school anime, which I thought was shocking. So like even the gameplay, like how you boost your ship, and you can see the cockpit of your little pilot on the side, and you can see him react to how he's like driving around and shooting and stuff. I thought that was great. And and you don't see that in like big games. Like maybe they'll make like a first person shooter, but it's just shooting a gun. You don't have those little bits of special detail to make you go, oh, that's kind of cool. I can see what they're doing there. I don't know if maybe you two have actually experienced something recently like that, that kind of made you go, oh, I appreciate where these smaller games are coming from.
Alexis, you
Alexis,
Not
yeah.
really. No, not really. I haven't really gotten into very
Okay.
many. Well, try
what?
to
Dude, do you
keep
want to
the
think? Do you want to
AAA
think for a bit?
gaming
Because
alive.
I can talk for a bit. Do you want to think?
Sure, go for
Because
it.
like I'm looking up this Galaxy thing, looks dope as shit. All right. No, mine's got to be Rocket League because
If you're
it's
interested, it is on the Only SP YouTube channel, so go check
there
it
you
out.
go.
Some
Check it out.
gameplay on there that I recorded for
Plug,
you.
There you
Really
plug,
go.
good.
plug, plug. Um,
Plug, plug, plug.
it's got to be Rocket
Check
League,
it out.
man. Because if you're talking about just in terms of the amount of time I put into a game, I have legit played that game maybe at like, and it's uncommon for me to like. I normally you'd binge it for a bit, get like 4 or 5 hours, be like, okay, I'm done, put the controller down. But me and my mates still log on, play it for at least a few hours a week, and that's like special to me because it's like that. If a game can resonate in that way and still consistently get people back, that's I think that's really important. Especially considering that it has PC crossplay, so it's one of the first times where my console friends aren't this like isolated zombies that are like in a fence, and we're not like on the other side in our own little like sheep pen.
Yeah.
Like we can finally merge our our farms together and play some
And that's
video
what I mean with
games.
things like with Destiny and stuff. We are seeing that now, which is great. So we are seeing like platforms merging and being able to play with our friends who say don't have a
Yeah,
PlayStation or an
exactly. Yeah,
Xbox. That's quite
for sure.
cool. I mean, did you play? Well, Alexis is still thinking. I mean, did you play Supersonic Rocket Power Battle Cars,
The
the
original.
initial Rocket League
Yeah,
game?
no, I actually didn't. I had no idea it was a sequel until someone like pointed it out.
Yeah, which funnily enough, a lot of people miss, and it is exactly the same game. Obviously, a little bit smaller because it's on PlayStation 3, but it was literally that game. It's a shame that that one was missed out
Yeah,
on,
exactly.
because I remember playing that and thinking, "Wow, this is brilliant," and then now seeing everyone like maybe about 4 years later going, "Wow, Rocket
Yeah,
League
look
is like
look at this
so
game.
cool."
It's
It's
like
like this game came out like ages ago, dude.
totally, yeah, for sure. Alexis, do you have a recent indie game?
I'm trying to think of like what I don't. Unfortunately, none of them have been like, oh my god, this is the best game ever. Um, maybe I'm just out of it. These kids, I don't understand
The
the kids
kids,
anymore.
man.
Yeah.
Ark is pretty cool. I mean, I know you kind of like talk down to like the whole. I don't know what it is about people who like this crafting kind of games,
Oh,
but
sure,
I'm
yeah,
one
yeah.
of those people who it's like it's kind of
Oh,
just
I
fun
haven't
just
played it at
to.
all. I wasn't trying to give any commentary on it because I haven't played it at all. But I was just saying that
Well, I'm
it's
also
just
like a really big
yeah,
like I'm a Minecraft fan too. It's just like kind of therapeutic.
Okay.
It's just fun to and it's got dinosaurs in it. I mean, like,
can't go wrong.
what else is cool about that?
For sure, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I actually haven't played it.
So
It looks interesting.
so you've actually played Ark then, Alexis?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, not a lot of it, but just a tiny little bit of it. But because like I said last week, I've been like really into Batman again. I've
Oh
been
my
playing through it
god,
like a couple different times.
nice.
I don't know, it's just so much fun, and I have to get all the Riddler trophies and stuff like that. So I've been kind of consumed. I'm
Sure, yeah.
I
kind of
mean,
ashamed
we've
with how much I've been playing
no,
it.
that's
But
understandable. I mean,
but
I
yeah,
just
but
finished all those ones as well. All the Riddler stuff
yeah,
is pain.
it's awful.
Nice, nice.
But
Sorry, what were you
yeah,
saying?
no, it's a yeah, I don't know what it is about it. If it's that's just my again, I'm not really like into like horror stuff, so maybe that's why I'm kind of missing out on like the indie games that really heavily focus on like horror titles. I watch other people play them, but I can't
Mm.
play them myself because I know I can't go to sleep at night then, because I'm a baby.
Yep.
But yeah, just like the the open world crafting kind of a thing. It's just therapeutic and a lot. It's just fun,
No, yeah,
I guess
I
that's
think
what I
you're
look for in a
definitely
game.
with the masses there. Like, there's just something about that those games just get everyone to like
Hmm.
Is
just
it? Do you think it's got like a strong thing of like escapism to it? Because obviously we play
probably.
games for that escapism, but does
Yeah.
because of it, it's kind of like you're playing, say, with like Ark. I guess you are playing as like a survivor. Do
Hmm.
you feel that kind of thing where you feel like you're in this new world, and maybe that's kind of why you're kind of quite connected to it?
Yeah, maybe it's because I also like the Rayman
Mhm.
series. It's just like those small fun little games where you don't really have to think too much. You don't have to try and solve Riddler's,
Yeah.
puzzle. So you don't have to, do this heavy hitting like do I shoot this guy? Do I not shoot this guy? It's
Yeah.
just kind of fun to escape for a little bit. Yeah, so like kind of casual gaming without having to stoop all the way down to like Candy Crush.
Yeah, yeah,
I'm wondering who the Arkham Knight is and all that rubbish.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then
Having a
yelling at
mind.
myself because I'm an idiot because it was obviously evident.
Obviously. Do you want to? Are you spoiling that
No
too?
spoilers, no spoilers.
Cool. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is a Singularity podcast for today. If you enjoyed the show, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like and all that good stuff. Follow Josh and Alexis on Twitter. Josh, I assume you have a Twitter that I'll put in the graphic.
Yeah, it's. Thank
Yep.
you.
All good, man. Just
Noir_proxy,
just
baby.
checking. All good. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. If you have any comments or questions or whatever you want to contribute to the discussion, please leave a comment below or tweet at any one of us. If I said something that got you going, just be like, yo, I didn't like that. I'm calling you out. And I'll be like, yo, let's go. It
We're gonna have
probably,
an internet fight.
yeah, it probably won't be a street knife fight as we've already established.
Yo,
But
my crew, your crew, right
exactly,
here, next
right here, right
Saturday.
now. Bring your
Bring it.
controllers because it's going down. All right. But thank you, Josh and Alexis, for joining me today.
Thank you. I
Thank
had
you.
fun.
It was pretty fun. It was pretty good. But we'll see you.
Josh is like,
Yeah, Josh, you came this time, man.
it was okay.
But
I didn't say. I thought I was pretty passionate. I mean, it's all those microphones I've been dropping. I think I've run out, and so
my ears,
No.
You're
my
worn
ears have
out.
just been destroyed from all the microphones you've dropped, man. I can't even handle it. But thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching, and we'll see you next week.